Hi, welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that takes a look at players that have been linked with a summer transfer move to Arsenal. We're going to start off today with the person we've been starting off with nearly every day recently, and that is Karim Benzema. More developments on the Benzema story today, with reports that coming out of Spain that Real Madrid are desperately trying to make a move to sign Marco Reus from Borussia Dortmund, who's valued at about £61 million. And to enable them to make this purchase, they're willing to sell Karim Benzema, which would be, if true, would be news to every Arsenal fan's ears, and we hope would be good news to Arsene Wenger's ears in his pursuit of Karim Benzema. Now, listen, this is just speculation at the moment. I've been saying for a few days that the thing about this deal is normally Real Madrid have got a player that they're looking to bring in, and then they offload a player, a bit like what they did with Ozil. And I was saying that, I can't see recently who that player would be, but we're being told today now that Marco Reus is the player they'd like to bring in. Remember, he only just signed a contract recently with Dortmund, so he'll be very, very expensive to shift. Real Madrid were interested in him before. We've been told last season that that was a deal that was going to happen. Injuries and things like that have knocked that back. Of course, he's been linked with us many times, but now we're being told that Real Madrid looking at him as their marquee signing, #1 target. They always have one every season. Reus seems to be the guy, and if they did get Reus, who predominantly plays on the wings, maybe on the left, it could be that he goes out on the left and they shift Ronaldo into that centre-forward position, which would mean that it'd be harder for Benzema to get in the team. Listen, it's all speculation at the moment, but that is the talk going around today regarding Karim Benzema. On the striker front, our very own Olivier Giroud has reportedly signed a brand new contract at Arsenal for £130,000 a week. That deal will make him one of the highest paid players at Arsenal at the moment. And listen, he's done well for Arsenal. There's no way we were going to be selling Giroud. He had a decent season last year, especially when you consider how long he was out with injuries. 130,000 a week. I saw a lot of people on the social media networks yesterday moaning about that. Listen, that's the going rate for a top striker nowadays. And no matter what you think about Giroud, he is a top striker. He's plays for France, plays for Arsenal, plays at the highest level. And if you want to keep a striker like that, you're going to have to pay that sort of money. I know with Giroud, he's not always everybody's cup of tea, but I personally think, listen, he does a great job for us at Arsenal. £130,000 a week in this current market, that's the sort of going rate. But he's signed a new contract, and it was interesting yesterday that I don't know if you saw, on our Twitter account. If you don't follow us on Twitter, make sure you follow us at Arsenal Fan TV. We tweeted out this caption that compared Benzema and Olivier Giroud last season. It was very interesting. Got it here. Now, take a look at this. It compares Karim Benzema to Olivier Giroud. Appearances, Benzema 29, Giroud 27. Goals, Karim Benzema scored 15 goals with a strike rate of 22% and a shot accuracy of 53%. Giroud scored 14 goals, strike rate 20%, shot accuracy 50%. On the assist front, Benzema definitely was way ahead of him. He had 10 assists to Giroud's 3. Chances created 1.5 Benzema, so he creates quite a lot of chances. 1 by Olivier Giroud. Pass completion rate, again, Benzema better, 79%. Pass completion 68% by Olivier Giroud. And successful take-ons, 57% in comparison to 39%, which was Olivier Giroud. So definitely on taking on and beating players, Karim Benzema definitely better than Giroud on that. But when you compare these stats, there's not a lot in it. I mean, Giroud is a better. Sorry, not Giroud. Benzema is the better player. He is the superior player, but Giroud is not that far behind. I think that reflects that in the French national team, in that Giroud just gets in ahead. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up here. Benzema gets in ahead. I need to get used to starting to say his name because he could be our player one day. Benzema gets in ahead of Giroud on most of those stats. He is the better player. But it's not massive. It's not massive, you know, the differences between the two. But listen, I'd love to see the two of them playing in the same team. There has also been people suggesting that the two of them can't play in the same team, you know, they don't really get on personally. But listen, players don't have to get on personally. It would be great to have both of those two battling it out up front. But very interesting looking at those stats. Wojciech Szczesny, a lot of chatter about him as well yesterday, that Szczesny is going to be on his way out to Roma. Roma have apparently spoken to Arsenal. They're very interested in taking Szczesny on either a 1 or 2 year loan. They've got a goalkeeper at the moment, Morgan De Sanchez. He's 38. So they want to bring in a 25-year-old to offer some stiff competition to him, and possibly, you know, even claim that #1 spot. That wouldn't be a bad loan move if he went to a top level club like Roma. As long as he's playing, if he's playing, you know, then he can return back to Arsenal in a season or 2 seasons, a much more experienced keeper. And a peak keeper that's been playing regularly at the highest level. If he goes there as a #2, then he may as well stay at Arsenal as a #2. But I don't know. He's very interested in this. Because, you know what, I saw a quote from a fan today, and he said that he made a comparison to Szczesny. He compared Szczesny to a Rubik cube. He goes, you know, you have it, you know, and you get fed up with it after a while and you want to get rid of it, but then you're frightened to give it away because somebody else might be able to figure it out. And that's a bit like Wojciech Szczesny. There is a good goalkeeper in there somewhere, but if this is true, a low move for him, I think that might not be a bad move, and then keep Ospina as the #2. That would, you know, for me, that would work things out perfectly. But let's see what happens with that one. At the moment, it is just an inquiry from Roma, but they are very, very interested in taking Wojciech Szczesny on loan. Now, the situation regarding defensive midfielders is getting very, very interesting at Arsenal. First of all, Matthew Flamini, who's currently at Arsenal, we're being told that Flamini is on his way out, that Galatasaray are willing to pay £4 million for him. Now, if this is true, £4 million for Matthew Flamini, I mean, that would be an excellent deal for Arsenal. I mean, you know, Manchester United. Manchester United sold Robin van Persie the other day to Fenerbahce, and you know that'd be £3.85 million more if we got £4 million than what Fenerbahce paid for Robin van Persie. You know, that'd be you know, £1.75 million more than what Galatasaray paid for Podolski. I mean, £4 million. I'm really surprised if that would be the amount of money that would be paid. But if that is the deal, that would be a fantastic deal for Arsenal, and they need to get that deal done as soon as possible. And many suggestions out there today that that is going to be a done deal, and that Flamini will be on his way to Galatasaray, which, you know, I'd wish him the best of luck out there. But if he goes defensive midfielder-wise, who comes in? And there's a couple of new targets that have emerged today. One of those is Sergej Sampa. Now, he's a youngster, right? I know. We always seem to be looking out for these very young players. But he's a young player. He plays for Barcelona. In Barcelona B, but he has made a few appearances for the senior team in the Copa del Rey. He's also played a Champions League game for them. And Spanish outlet Mundo Deportivo are saying that Arsenal are willing to pay his €12 million release clause in order to get this player. It's a player that Arsenal have attempted to sign now 3 times. He's even been to Arsenal before to see all the training facilities and that. And, you know, listen, we're good at getting players from Barcelona. of course, famously Cesc Fabregas. Hector Bellerin, of course, is also another product of the Barcelona youth system that we picked up. And, you know, all the talk is that this guy's a bit frustrated. You know, he's got a lot of talent, very good defensive midfielder who, very interestingly, which Arsene Wenger will like, as well as being good defensively, is a very good passer of the ball. And a lot of talk today that Arsene Wenger is going to go back in for him, meet that release clause and bring him in as that sort of third defensive midfielder. Very interesting. Let's see what happens with that one. As I said, we have attempted to bring him to Arsenal 3 times before. The other player, this player again, is a player that we were linked with, and that's Adrien Rabiot. His mother came out and told the French media yesterday that Adrien wants to have a career at Paris Saint-Germain, which is a club he plays for, but it's not possible. And Rabiot wants to move. Rabiot wants to leave. He was linked with us before, defensive midfielder come box-to-box midfielder, really. I wouldn't say he's 100% a DM, but he can play that role. And again, Rabiot is being linked very heavily today with a move to Arsenal. So it's very interesting there. 2 possible targets, feasible targets as well, that could replace Matthew Flamini. Young guys that then in the future could then step up and take over from players like Arteta, who'd still be in there ahead of him, you know, possibly next year when Arteta's contract would come to an end. Very interesting, especially on the Sergei Samper one. We're going to have to wait and see what happens with that one, but that is very, very interesting indeed. But it looks like Flamini is on his way out. Let's get into the comments, see what you guys have had to say. Speaking a lot yesterday about Lacazette and Walcott, etc. Mikey said, I'd buy Lacazette, to be honest, but Walcott would score the same amount of goals as Lacazette in League One. And we was talking yesterday about, you know, all the clamour for Lacazette and that. Is Lacazette any better or better at all than Theo Walcott? Style Spin says, I have a feeling that one day Aaron Ramsey will be sold to Barcelona. Mesut Sanchez says, Lacazette is better than Walcott. You're having a laugh. Lacazette won't do nowhere near as good as Walcott. Let's see how Lacazette does in the big stage of the Champions League or at international level. And Style Spins also goes on to say, anyone remember Pato? He may be available if all fails with Benzema. Just saying, listen, Pato, his injuries, was a top prospect at one time, but his injuries have just ruined him. The big sign with Pato is that he's available and there's nobody going in for him. And that just shows you that, you know, he's a very injury-prone player that nobody really wants to touch at the moment. Riaz Ahmed says, we should just get Muller. He's a complete striker and he's fierce. There is no other striker like him. Brilliant striker, but I don't think there's no way on earth, unless it's a ridiculous, like £100 million bid, that Bayern Munich would sell a guy that like is so ingrained in their team. I just cannot see it. El Patanio Man 48 says, let's buy Moutinho from Monaco. He can tackle people and he's a good passer. Also, free kicks upgrade on Arteta. He's a very good player, be very expensive. Don't listen, he's a good player, but I don't think that's the type of player that we need right now. He's not really a defensive midfielder. Again, he's an attacking midfielder. And finally here, I'll go with this one. It's S Mystery 93 says, why not rotate Sanchez, Walcott, Giroud, Welbeck, all playing centre forward? We have many options. We have as many options as Chelsea. What we really need is a defensive midfielder. Arteta is a waste of space, doesn't defend, assist, or score. So some quite fearsome words there as regarding Arteta. Listen, it's rumbling on. We know we're going to be here till September the 1st this season with Arsenal, the way it's going. But interesting news on Benzema and interesting news on some of those defensive midfielder targets. Listen, don't forget to look out for a video next week. Now, listen, very luckily yesterday, I got a pair of signed Aaron Ramsey boots. Check them out. Aaron Ramsey's boots. Can you see them there? signed by Rambo himself, courtesy of New Balance. Thank you very much for those. Now, I'm going to be giving away these boots. Next week, we're going to be doing a special video on Aaron Ramsey. And in that video, at the end of the video, I'll be giving you a chance to win these Aaron Ramsey boots. And I'll tell you what, when I got them, I was very tempted to go down to a shop and get me one of them glass cases and things. I was very tempted to just give away one boot, but I said, no, got to do this right. A pair, Aaron Ramsey's boots. You can win these in the competition next week. So look out for that video on Aaron Ramsey. Thanks for watching Arsenal Fan TV today. Transfer Daily. We will be back tomorrow at the same time.